Hello, and welcome to Socially Holistic Podcast. Socially Holistic helps coaches and holistic entrepreneurs and women in heart-centered businesses make sense of social media so they can build their own online network and get more clients. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a 5-star review of this podcast. Please leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more heart-centered businesses will be successful. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Socially Holistic Podcast, episode 34. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's very special guest, PJ Van Hull from Real Prosperity. PJ is an acclaimed international speaker and author. Welcome, PJ.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your business?
Sure. Well, I came from the world of real estate investing in the beginning, and I actually lost everything in the real estate crash. I went from being almost able to retire at the time I was 31, having over $6 million of property, and went from that to within just a few months being millions of dollars in debt and eventually having to declare bankruptcy and lose my own house to foreclosure. So it was night and day, just very quickly.
I just got the chills when you said that. That sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah. So if anybody, if you're listening to this and you've had, challenges in your life, just know that you're not alone. And it doesn't have to keep you down. I had already started my seminar company before the real estate crash, and that was something that I really loved. Like, real estate was cool, but I didn't feel like it was my life purpose and my passion. What I really felt passionate about was working with entrepreneurs and leading seminars and writing books. And I wonder if the real estate market hadn't crashed, if I would have been able to really dive in completely to my passion. It's interesting to think about. So I had my life completely go down in flames, but like the phoenix from the ashes, I rebuilt something that's far more enjoyable and in alignment with my values and my passion.
I love that. When you were kind of at the bottom of that rebirthing right before you just kind of came out of the ashes, what was it that helped you get through that? Because I can imagine for a lot of people that was just completely devastating.
It was. And for the first time in my life, I could understand those stories of Japanese businessmen that throw themselves off buildings when the market changes. Like, I never got that before. But when I lost everything and I owed millions of dollars and I was losing my home, I understood. I was like, okay, I can see how people would think this. And I was very depressed and anxious, as you can imagine. And I think the thing that really started pulling me out was this idea of showing up for your people. And this was an idea that I already had in my head. And then I watched It's a Wonderful Life, and I just cried my eyes out, because in that movie, this guy gets to see like the difference of what would happen if he lives versus if he dies. And I was, seriously thinking that maybe the only way out of this mess was if I could somehow think of a way to commit suicide in a way that didn't look like suicide, maybe the life insurance companies would pay all those people back.
Oh, wow.
And that's a pretty, depressing thing to be meditating on every day. So when I saw that movie and you get to see like what life would be like for other people if this man had killed himself, I was like, oh my God, this is hardcore. And see if you've had a similar experience to this. I've been to like 8 different chiropractors, and somehow there's just this one that just does it for me. It makes such a difference when I get adjusted. And the same thing is true with mentors. Like, one of my friends just loves Tony Robbins, like just, reads every book, goes to every seminar, and it's her thing. And I think he's fine. But this other guy, Frederick Lehrman, who you've probably never heard of because he's taught a lot of the people you've heard of, every time he opens his mouth, my world transforms. Wow. So like every product he has, every time I have a chance to go see him speak, I'm going to take it because he's just my teacher, and if you've had have you had an experience like that, Holly, when someone just gives you the healing or the transformation the way you need it?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yeah.
So,
that person just completely stands out from the crowd.
Absolutely. So if you've ever had an experience like that and you're listening to this, then you see that we all kind of have our unique healers and teachers. And if that's true for you, then it's true on the other end too, meaning if you have those teachers and healers for you, then you are that teacher or healer for someone else. So there's people praying for you that aren't going to get the healing or the transformation that they need if you don't show up for them. And so really what helped me was, just putting myself aside and say, if I have to go through this horrible experience for the benefit of my people, then I'll do that. And, just a short time later, I was actually doing an interview like this, and I shared this story, and one of the women who was listening on the call emailed me and said, I'm so glad you shared that. I've been thinking about killing myself.
Oh, wow.
And hearing your story has, given me hope and inspiration that I can turn things around. And I just got chills when I read that. I'm getting chills right now.
Me too.
I thought, if I had to go through all of that and the only thing that came out of it was I saved one person's life, then that was worth it.
That's amazing. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business journey from there on up. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I realized that I wasn't the only one that was having financial challenges in the crash. And I went to this seminar where the facilitator stood up and he said that he wanted to win a Nobel Prize for single-handedly turning the economy around. And I was impressed. And my literal thought was, this guy's got balls. I don't know why that's an expression, but that was my thought. So just for the sake of accuracy, I'm sharing it. But I was like, what would it take to stand up in front of a group of people and say something like that? And so I started thinking, what could I do to single-handedly turn the economy around? Like, if he can make that claim, why not me? And so the conversation in my head shifted from how could I kill myself so it doesn't look like suicide to what could I do to single-handedly turn the economy around, which was a much more interesting and empowering question. So what the other thing I've noticed is when you ask yourself better questions, you start getting better answers because we've been trained and programmed from a very early age to answer questions when people ask. And so I sat with this question of what could I do, and I actually got an answer. I got a download. And what I came up with was there's people who have their own personal economy that's very different from the economy at large. And so while I was losing my home and going bankrupt, some of my close friends in business were having their best year in business ever and hitting 6-7 figures. And I was wondering, well, what's the difference between people that are having a great personal economy and people that aren't? And I thought, if I could help enough individual entrepreneurs shift to their own personal economy, then eventually we would hit a tipping point, and that would shift the economy of the community, of the nation, of the world. And so I started really focusing on working with entrepreneurs on how to, at first I just started working with them on, hey, forget about $5 million in 10 years. What about $500 this week? Because that's really what people needed, was they just needed a little extra money now. And I heard a statistic that the average person was about $788 from foreclosure, so,
wow.
So if they could just bring in an extra, $700 or $800, they'd be okay. And so I started focusing on that, and then it grew beyond that to really building your list, because it's just so much easier when you have a list to attract clients and sales. It's just a whole different ball game. And I think your list is one of your biggest assets in your business. So I encourage people not only to make money now, but also be building the list so that it just gets easier and easier and easier to make more money and make a bigger difference moving forward. So that's how I got on this track. And I also started donating. So I started doing workshops for entrepreneurs on how to grow their business because I'm really good at making money. I just needed to learn how to keep money, Yeah,
I think that's really important. And I think you say that at some point in your website that you kind of went from learning how to make money to learning how to keep your money.
Yeah. And so that's a skill set that I am now getting better at, but I knew I could share a lot about helping people get clients and make money and sell more. Like that I'm great at, and I'm great at teaching it and getting people results,
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on that and then on building the list. And then I also started making microloans to women entrepreneurs in third world countries so that we could be having that global impact right from the beginning.
And what do you use to do that? Do you use Kiva?
I do. I like Kiva.
I love Kiva.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's just such a great thing. And it's so in alignment with my vision.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about. So getting back to email list building, I think this is something that so many people struggle with because, you hear the money's in the list, but it seems like there's so many email lists to be on and it can be totally overwhelming. I know that I'm constantly subscribing and unsubscribing. So do you really think that building an email list is where it's at these days?
I really do. Because many people change their physical address more often than their email address nowadays. So, you and I are bombarded with emails because of the industry we're in and all the people that we're following.
Mm-hmm. But
there are plenty of people that don't feel that way. And even people that are on lots of email lists, they're still opening and responding to email. As evidenced on both ends, I open and respond to it, and so do my people. I just led a webinar last night, and I sent out one email to my list, and there were almost 100 people on there, and 13 of them so far signed up for the offer.
Great.
That we made, just from one email. So that's pretty cool. One email, 13 clients,
Yes.
And also, just because they're on your email list, this is important, doesn't mean that email is the only way you can communicate with them. So you can also use text messaging for people who request it, or voice broadcasts, or even regular snail mail. And I use a combination of all those things. You can also use your email list to create a custom audience in Facebook, and you can run ads so that only people on your email list see that particular ad, which is pretty cool because they already know you and like you, so you're going to get a good conversion rate on those ads.
I think that's a really great tip. Sorry to interrupt. I think that's an amazing tip that so many people don't know about, so thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, you're welcome. And all you do is you log into your Facebook ads area, you click audiences, and you upload your email list. And ultimately, the thing I want you to get if you're listening to this is that it's not about email specifically when I'm talking about building your list. It's about taking amazing care of and providing exceptional value for your tribe in a way that's also scalable for you so that you can make a big difference in the world without burning yourself out in the process. So that's what I'm really talking about when I'm talking about building your list.
Mm. That's good to cover because I think so many people just kind of focus on the one thing. Like I've got to get people onto my MailChimp list or Infusionsoft or whatever it is that they're building the list on, and they don't think about what they're going to do with those people or how they're going to nurture them and take care of them and communicate with them once they get them on the list.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So what would you say are your top tips to becoming a list building rock star? We're hoping to cover 5 secrets that you've promised us today.
All right, well, let's get to it then.
I want the juice.
We don't have a lot of time, so I will. I might move kind of fast,
That's
and
fine.
I'll give absolutely as much as we can in the time that we have. And then, if you're listening to this and you want to go deeper with list building, then I'll share some resources for where you can go to get more. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So, secret number 1 is understand the power of your list. Because you've probably heard that building your list is a good idea, that you can attract more clients and sales, that you can get more repeat clients, you can fill your seminars and programs, and if you want to, you can even promote other people's stuff and earn thousands of dollars in affiliate commissions. I earned more in affiliate commissions last year than a lot of people earn all year in a job. Just in affiliate commissions from promoting other stuff that I believe in. So you've probably heard this is a good idea, but once you really get it, how powerful building your email list can be, you'll be more likely to carve out the time to focus on it because it's one of those important but not urgent things. So often it can get put on the back burner in lieu of chasing other projects and putting out fires. So hopefully this will help. You've probably heard that the fortune is in the follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like most of the thousands of entrepreneurs I've worked with in the last 14 years, your follow-up systems probably leave something to be desired.
Yep.
So here's why the fortune is in the follow-up and what it looks like. According to my friend and online marketing expert, Brenda Normand, in most niche markets, in other words, the specific group of people that you serve, 3% of them are actively shopping for what you offer. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's where most people are focusing their marketing and sales energy. 7% of people are aware and open to your services, but they're not looking right now. 30% of them are not aware of their problem or your solution. 30% may know you exist, but it's not the right time. And 30% are simply not a fit and they're never going to buy from you, so just don't worry about it. What this means is that if you're not following up, you're leaving behind the 67% of people that might be ready to sign up for your products or services down the road. Mm-hmm. When you follow up consistently, you stay in front of these people. Maybe they're not ready now, but when they are ready, you'll be at the top of their mind and more likely to be the one that they hire over somebody that didn't follow up. So imagine how much more money you could put in your pocket just by staying in touch with those 67% of your tribe that may need you in the future. If you do the math on that, let's say within a year, 67% of these people actually sign up for something with you. You just increased your sales by 2,223%.
I think that's so important because so few people actually look down the line and think, okay, the sale is not today, but it might be in the future. And they don't have the vision to realize that the people that are in touch with them today might buy, not today, but in the future.
And it's completely normal to think about that. Let's say that I'm 90% wrong. So let's take that down to only 10% of what I said. That's still 223%. That's still doubling your income just by staying in touch with people. So if you've ever had an example, been in a situation where a client said, I really want to hire you, but I'm not ready yet. And then you run into them 3 months later and they're like, guess what? I hired a coach. And you're like, they were supposed to hire me, and you take it personally. Like if you've ever had an experience like that, it's not because they don't like you or they're bad. It's because you didn't follow up. You weren't there for them when they were ready. So the easiest and most effective way to follow up and nurture those relationships is to build an email list of clients and potential clients who have opted in and given you permission to send them emails. And that's why your email list is one of the greatest financial assets in your business. I've had people that just come out of the blue and invite me for speaking gigs or sign up for my stuff from all over the world. And it feels like it's out of the blue, but it's not. It's because they've been getting emails from me for 2 years and they're finally ready. And they decide to come to my workshop and they sign up for my $35,000 mastermind, Yeah. But there's that whole 2 years of relationship
that we don't see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So having a big profitable email list gives you a level of financial security because you can even out your cash flow and generate more income anytime you need to just by sending out messages to your list. So one rule of thumb for monetizing your list is to shoot for $1 per subscriber per month. So if you have a list of 10,000 people, you should be able to make $10,000 per month just from your email list. And a lot of the speakers, coaches, and other entrepreneurs I've worked with have built thriving six-figure and multiple six-figure businesses with only a few hundred or a few thousand people on their lists. So if you're not focusing on growing your list, you're not bad, you're not wrong. You're just setting yourself up to continue to work much harder than you need to. And also, most of my clients care about making a bigger difference in the world. And I think that's the kind of people that listen to this podcast too. Mm-hmm. And having an email list that you regularly provide value for allows you to expand your energy and your message to many more people and make a bigger impact, even if not all of them become your clients. Yeah. So hopefully that gives you some frame around why it's so important and really helping you understand the power. So once you understand the power, secret number 2 is to start now. The number one biggest mistake that most entrepreneurs make when it comes to building their email list is waiting to get started. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of compound interest, Holly?
Yes.
That term?
Yes.
So that's where, your money earns interest, and then the interest also earns interest. So it snowballs and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. If you were to take a penny and double it every day for 30 days, you would start off having 1 cent, 2 cents, 4 cents, 8 cents, 16 cents. It's not super exciting. But by the time you get to day 30, you have over $5 million. Mm-hmm. That's the power of compound interest. And that's how building your list works. So the earlier you start, the more consistently you make deposits, meaning you build your list and you provide value for them, the longer you nurture them, the more profitable it will be. So once you see this, then you start to understand that not building your list is costing you money every day, whether you realize it or not. And the reason that I rant about this a little bit is because it took me 6 years to get serious about building my list. And I don't want you to make the same mistake I did.
I think that's such an important topic, because so many women will build their website, they get it out there, and they know they should build the list, but maybe they don't offer their free gift, or they don't put anything together, and so they just kind of put the box up there and hope that someone will sign up, but, it's just not quite happening.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So secret number 1, understand the power of your list. Secret number 2, start now. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you haven't started your email list, I've put together a wonderful resource for you. It's a report called How to Jumpstart Your Email List. And if you haven't gotten it started, or you've started it, but you have a few hundred people, a few thousand people, and you haven't really been connecting with them lately, it's got some templates in there for how to jumpstart your list or reconnect with it. What software is the best to use for what level of business you're in, the 3 keys to building a successful email list. And I've put all of that together for you for free. And all you have to do is click the link in the podcast notes, and you'll be able to download that report, because there's a lot more information in there that we don't have time to go into today.
Thank you so much for that.
You are most welcome. So secret number 3 is commit to lifelong learning. Because the truth is, building a profitable email list is a skill that you will develop, hone, and fine-tune over time. And even once you've gotten really good at it and mastered the art of list building, there's always something new to learn that can put more money in your pocket. For example, just a few years ago, Facebook didn't even exist. Mm-hmm. And now it's an incredibly powerful lead source for many businesses. I get about 20 to 25% of my revenue from Facebook right now, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. And even just being able to upload your custom audience right there in Facebook without having to use the Power Editor tool that you used to have to use to do that, even that's a pretty new change that's incredibly useful. So the internet changes quickly. And while I don't recommend stressing out about getting on every new social media site out there and doing every marketing tactic under the sun, it is important to keep learning and growing in general, and just pace yourself, and look at this. This is an art that you will continue to refine and master for as long as you're in business. So I'd like to give you a few tips right now that can help you get the new subscribers on your list to open and read your emails and to share your stuff with their friends. Would that be all right?
Mm-hmm, perfect.
So little distinctions like this can make a really big difference. So one thing is, unless you're trying to brand your business completely separate from you, like Whole Foods or Home Depot or Landmark Education, have your emails come from you, meaning from your name. So my emails say PJ Van Hall in the from column. It doesn't say Real Prosperity Incorporated, which is the name of my business. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing that people look at when deciding if they're going to delete or open an email, is the from column. So have it come from you. It feels a lot more personal. Another tip is to pay attention to subject lines. Your subject line is like an ad for the email. That's the second thing that people look at to decide if they're going to open the email. So ideally have it be less than 36 characters so the whole thing actually shows up. Make it clear, make it interesting. One thing that you can do to get better at writing subject lines is put a little folder in your email that you call your swipe file. Mm-hmm. And when you see other emails with great subject lines that compel you to open them, put those in your swipe file. So when you're writing an email, you can look at those for ideas and inspiration of what kind of subject lines you might use. And that's something that we do a whole training on in my List Building Rockstars program, but that's like way beyond what we're talking about here today. So then the tip I want you to get is to just pay attention to it. Keep the emails personal. Because what a lot of people do is they'll say, hi, everyone, or hi, angels, or they'll make it plural. And it feels like this is when you're receiving it, it feels like, oh, okay, this is a mass email this doesn't pertain to me. But with email marketing systems, like some of the ones I mentioned in that report, they'll allow you to personalize the message by putting their first name in there. So have your email say, dear first name, like dear Holly, or hi Holly, or hello Holly, like that, and have it feel just like an email just from you to a friend, that there's just the two of you involved and it's not going out to thousands of people. So I might be sending an email to 17,000 people, but I want each person to feel like I emailed them personally. So a lot of times what I'll do, this is a ninja tip, is I'll pick one of my favorite clients and I'll write an email to them. And then at the end, I'll take out their name and put in the little first name merge field, and then the email feels very personal. Of course, when they open your email, ideally give them valuable insights, tips, and content without overwhelming them so that they're happy to have opened your emails and more likely to open in the future. And as far as getting them to share your stuff, the number one way to get people to share your stuff is to ask them to share it.
Call to action.
So if somebody registers for my How to Jumpstart Your Email List teleclass, for example, they'll get all the registration stuff, and then I'll also send them an email that says, would you be willing to help me spread the word? And it gives them a link that they can send to their friends. And so the second thing to get people to share your stuff is make it easy for them. So what I do is I send them an email that they can simply copy, paste, and send to their friends, or a little Facebook blurb that they can copy and paste on Facebook. So they don't have to think about it. They don't have to create anything. People are busy. So you just want to make it super, super easy where they can just copy, paste, they're done. They can check that off their list. So ask them to share and make it easy for them. So those are some examples of, if you commit to lifelong learning, little tips like that can make a huge difference down the road. Just those little tips I shared can make your email marketing dramatically more successful.
Those are some amazing tips.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So secret number 4 to becoming a list building rock star is to track your results. Now this is slightly more advanced, but this is a slightly more advanced call. We're talking about becoming a list building rock star, right? Yeah. So about 12 years ago, one of my mentors told me, what you focus on expands. And since then, I've tested this idea extensively, and I've found it to be completely true. So what I recommend is investing even just a few minutes a week in tracking the results of your list building efforts. And when you do that, you'll see greater results. So in my List Building Rockstars program, I send out a little accountability tracker every week to the people in that program, where they put in how many people they have on their email list, how many Facebook fans they have, how many Twitter followers they have, how many Pinterest followers they have, and what's one thing they're going to do that week to grow their list. And so just doing that tracking, it keeps them focused on it and their lists grow. And I do the same thing. I fill that out once a week and I send it to my accountability partner. And I found that when I do that, when I pay attention to it, it grows. And when I don't, it doesn't. It's really so that's the simplest way to track your results. As you become more and more of an internet marketing geek, you can actually create unique tracking links and track not only your overall list growth, but you can start tracking things like, okay, how many people came from Facebook? How many people came from telling a friend? How many people came from this teleclass that I did? And when I did my List-a-Palooza 90-day list building challenge, I was actually tracking over 350 different links to see where people were coming from. And that's useful because then I could see where to put my time, money, and energy. Each Facebook ad I did, I had a different tracking link because Facebook ads convert very differently depending on what picture you use. Does it have a border? Does it not have the border? What do you do with the headline? So that's even more advanced. So in the beginning, I would just start tracking by taking note of how many people on your list each week. And then as you get the bandwidth and the software to start tracking lead sources, that's the next level. And if that felt overwhelming or over your head, do not worry about that right now. Just pay attention, just make a note every week of how many people are on your list. And just that'll start getting the energy flowing in the right direction.
I think a lot of people are probably afraid even to check their lists because it seems like it grows so slow if you're not taking the action to really build the list. And I think some people just kind of avoid looking at it. And just the fact that they're not paying attention to it is obviously not getting the results.
It works the same way as money. The more attention you pay to it, the more comes. It's pretty amazing. So the fastest way to build your list, if you're just starting from scratch or with just a few hundred subscribers, is to send out a reconnect email. You probably have people in your life, in what I call your sphere of influence, that could either join your list or let their friends know about joining your list. And there's a template for that in the How to Jumpstart Your Email List report that I put together for you. So you can just take that email, adapt it to your own style and voice and send it out. And that is the easiest way to get your email list going, even if you're just starting from scratch or with just a few hundred subscribers. So the first level is reaching out to your sphere of influence. And then the second level is asking your sphere of influence to share with their friends.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we're down to secret number 5. Actually, if we have time, I actually have a couple extra ones.
Yes, please. Yes.
So number 5 is get accountability. This is one of my biggest secrets to success. When you tell yourself you're going to do something, you may or may not do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when you tell someone else you're going to do something, you're much more likely to do it. So for example, when there's no one to hold me accountable for doing my weekly tracking that I mentioned in tip number 4, sometimes I fall into the trap of feeling like I can put it off or not do it. But when I'm accountable for sending my weekly tracking to my accountability partner, every week it happens like clockwork. It wouldn't even occur to me to not do it. So I recommend not only tracking your results weekly, but sending those results to an accountability buddy or partner so that it's more likely to happen. So you probably already have somebody in your life that can do that for you. If you'd like me to do that for you, opt in for the bonus report and then check out my List Building Rockstars program. There's a wonderful deal on it. Get the report, you get 67% off List Building Rockstars and 90% off my List Building Success Kit. And that can help you a lot with ideas for growing your list, and also accountability. My guess is that there's probably somebody in your life that would be willing to do this for you. So those are the top 5 keys, and some bonus secrets are number 6, if I had a number 6, is make list building a consistent practice. So as I mentioned before, growing your list is like taking advantage of compound interest. The more consistently you make deposits, the more profitable your list will be. And many entrepreneurs make the mistake of focusing on building their list for a short period of time and then completely ignoring their list building activities the rest of the time. But when you make it part of your regular business practice, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. And it makes me think of this quote by Jenny Craig. She says, "It's not what you do once in a while, it's what you do day in and day out that makes the difference." So when I say deposits, what I mean specifically is engaging in list building activities on a regular basis. So if you do end up taking me up on that 90% offer on the List Building Success Kit, you'll get 26 of the top ways to build your list, and that'll give you ideas for how to make deposits, as well as the ideas that are in that free report. And then secret number 7, this last one, so you get 2 bonus secrets, is to build your list in community. Because leveraging the power of relationships and building your list in a community of like-minded people is the quickest and most effective way to build a profitable list. Like you may have seen, if you're on a few email lists, you start thinking, oh my God, all these people are friends and they all promote each other. How do I break in to that group, right? But it's really powerful when you start promoting each other and supporting each other that way. So when you tap into a community of people who get list building, you're more likely to find other business owners who are willing and even delighted to promote you to their list, which in turn grows your list. And, the challenge is finding a community like this. So you can check out my List Building Rockstars program. That's a great community. You might have a networking group or seminar you've gone to where you can already tap into a community like that. But working together to build your list is going to rapidly accelerate your results.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the bonus tips and all of your fantastic advice. That's absolutely wonderful. One quick question. I'm very conscious of the time, but I'm wondering, you've also built a really incredible following on Facebook. Could you share any quick tips about how you've gone about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/realprosperity, or actually, is that it? Yeah. REALPROSPERITY. You can see that I have over 22,000 fans. I made a shift around when I had about 1,200 fans. I started going from focusing on me to focusing on them. And what I mean by that is most people on their fan pages or business pages are all about them. I have this teleclass coming up. I have this event coming up. I wrote this new blog post, and that's fine. But people go on Facebook to feel connected and be entertained. Mm-hmm. Like that's why they log on. That's why the average person spends over an hour a day on Facebook. And so think, how can I connect with them and entertain them? And if you can take 9 out of 10 posts and have them be things that are beautiful, funny, engaging, inspiring, and maybe only 1 out of 10 posts about you, all of a sudden your fan page starts going viral. So I went from 1,200 fans to over 10,000 in about a month or two from really focusing on giving people what they wanted. So posting things that are funny, beautiful, inspiring. So I post inspiring quotes. I post a lot of pictures of cats doing silly things like cat kittens and teacups and stuff like that. And people might think, well, what does that have to do with business? And what it has to do with business is people see that, they like it, they comment on it, they share it. More people come over to my Facebook page and like it and join my list and become my clients. That's what cats and teacups has to do with building my business. So it's funny, and some people would teach exactly the opposite and say, keep your fan page all about business. But that's what's worked for me and made my fan page go viral.
I think it makes it more personal as well.
It is, so a lot of the things that I post are, if I see something like the kittens and teacups thing, if I see something that makes me go, oh, or makes me laugh out loud or makes me feel really inspired, then those are the kind of things that I want to share with my tribe. So it shows a little bit of my personality because people get to see what I think is interesting and funny. And then it also makes my fan page go viral.
Personally, I'd like to see some videos of your African gray parrot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing about that is, he talks and he does all this stuff, and then as soon as I hold the camera up, he just sits there.
Camera shy.
But I'll do my best.
All right. Well, PJ, I have a quick question. Do you have any women business mentors? Are there any women in business who inspire you?
Oh yeah, lots. I mentioned lifelong learning. One of my highest values is personal growth. Mm-hmm. That's probably my highest value, and so over the last decade plus, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my education. And I would say that the people who have impacted me the most, probably number one is Charlotte Jacobs and also her husband, Jesse Corin of Thrive Academy. I met up with them in 2006, and they were the ones that taught me how to lead seminars and create info products. And before that, it was just really a dream that I had no idea how to achieve. And so I've made over $1 million directly from what they taught me and have a business doing something that I really love because of them. So those, I would say, are my number one. But there's a lot of other people that really inspire me too. Actually, my housemate, Anastasia Nitri, inspires me. We just moved in together last month. For many years, we've been mastermind buddies and friends. And she's a business coach, and people pay her, $6,000 to coach them. And she coaches me every day for free.
Sounds like a good deal.
And I coach her, so it's great. It's like living in a personal development workshop and mastermind that never ends.
That sounds like a good way to jumpstart your business.
It really is. We moved into this incredible 3,400 square foot house with these sweeping views of the hills. Like right now I can see cows out on the hill. Oh. And smaller things I think might be turkeys. I heard turkeys earlier this morning. So we're 5 minutes from like everything you would ever want. Theaters, P.F. Chang's. But then on the other side, there's wilderness.
Oh, I love that.
It's really cool. Yeah.
It's fabulous.
And Holly, I don't know if you know this, but the address is actually Inspiration Circle.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. I love that. What a great place to live.
Totally.
Sounds like my kind of paradise. So, PJ, how can other women in business benefit from working with you? You've mentioned your program.
Well, what I would recommend is if you're in business for yourself, obviously growing your email list is a great idea. So I would check out that free report, How to Jumpstart Your Email List, that's listed in the notes of the podcast. And if you want to go even deeper, after you opt in for the report, there's a special 90% offer where you can pick up my list building success kit for only $27. Ooh. So that's some of the best, most effective strategies that I've used to grow my list. And then if you end up getting that, then there's another page where if you would like to join my community and work with me personally, you can check out the List Building Rockstars program for 67% off. So when you come in through that, there's the free thing, there's the $27 kit, and then there's the, right now it's $97 a month, but I reserve the right to change that pricing. So it's an extremely economical way to get access directly to me. I lead all the calls, I answer all the questions personally, as opposed to paying $3,000 to do a session with me. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty great. It's like having my brain on retainer for your business.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah. So where can people find you online?
My main website is realprosperityinc.com. And, but what's much more exciting is if you join me on Facebook. I'm PJ Van Hall. If I have any friend spots left, feel free to send me a friend request. And if I don't, definitely go on to facebook.com/realprosperity. That's my fan page, and I don't have anybody manage that. I personally interact with everybody on that page myself.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Holly. This was fantastic.
Great. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit sociallyholistic.com/SHP34 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Socially Holistic Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. Please help us help more women in business by giving us a 5-star review of this podcast. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more successful businesses there will be. So please leave a 5-star review today over at iTunes. Thank you.